Hi, I'm Amaya and welcome back to my channel. I promised you guys recently that I would do a video on survival shows, so here it is. I personally have beef with survival shows. Is it just because my favorite group is always eliminated first or ends up in last place? No. That is one of the reasons, but it is not all of them. First, let's go over what a survival show is. A survival show is a reality competition show where contestants are eliminated through the series. Shows typically have multiple seasons for boy groups and girl groups. Some shows make contestants compete for a spot in the final lineup to be in a new group, while other shows make established groups compete for a prize, or members of established groups compete to become a member in a supergroup. Survival shows typically have judges, mentors, and a fan voting component. The most popular survival show series was the Produce series, which debuted IOI, 101, Eyes 1, and X1, but was canceled after it was revealed that the producers rigged the votes to have certain members end up in the final lineup. This was replaced with the Planet series, which has debuted Kepler and Zero Base 1 so far. The next installment in the series is going to be Boys 2 Planet, which is going to air on July 17th. My inspiration for this video was Chang, so I'm going to go over his survival show journey thus far. His first survival show was Under 19, which formed the temporary group 1the9. Jay was eliminated from the show, but he returned to survival shows a few years later to be a contestant on Boys Planet. On Boys Planet, he received a lot of positive attention for his singing abilities. He was eliminated on the final episode of Boys Planet when he ended up in 10th place, which is one place away from being in the group. A few months later, he debuted in a group called One Pact with 4 other eliminated Boys Planet contestants. I think a big factor in why One Pact is where they are right now is the fact that Jay, their most popular member, is only on 2 of the 4 albums that they've released. So you may be wondering why is that the case? He actually went on hiatus from One Pact for a few months to go be on another survival show called Build Up Vocal Boy Group Survivor, where his group won and they ended up releasing 1 album. My first problem with the survival show method is that it rarely has any impact on existing groups. The goal of Jay being on that survival show last year should have been to bring more attention to One Pact. Anyone who became interested in the group from seeing Jay in the show would have been disappointed in their next 2 comebacks because Jay wasn't in them. So looking at their sales, their debut sales were 70,513 units. Their most recent album, which Jay was on, was 69,979 units. So the sales are practically the same when he left and when he came back, showing that the group didn't really gain anything from Jay being on the show. Something similar happened to the groups who participated in Queendom Puzzle. The final group, L's Up, debuted a month after the show ended, and since then they haven't had any comebacks and they've stopped posting on their social media. Since then, the groups who appeared on this show have had very interesting careers. Cherry Bullet, Weki Meki, Weekly, Rocket Punch, and WJSN disbanded. Lightsome dropped a digital single last year, but they haven't released an album in almost 2 years. Woo-Ah has only had 2 comebacks, and they're going on yet another survival show along with Purple Kiss. Basically, it's the exact same premise as Queendom Puzzle. They're going to take members from existing girl groups who have lost their shine and assemble a super group out of those members. But the only difference is that the judge is AI. It was supposed to come out in the first half of the year. It is now July, so it's the second half of the year. Unless they're on the show right now, they're not really doing anything. This is my second problem with the survival show strategy. It's like companies think that going on a survival show is instantly going to make your group into the next big thing. So they just, every time a show comes up, they're sending their members on there, they're sending the group on there, and then taking long breaks from putting out music, and then they take no action when it actually works. Like Woo-Ah had a really successful comeback after the show ended. People really liked that song. I really like that song.
You make me wanna blush, blush.
And they haven't released anything in the past year since then. Here are some of the problems that groups who are consistently sending their members on survival shows have. They don't give their groups consistent comebacks. They don't stick to a concept. They don't promote their most popular members between those comebacks. If you're going to send a member or a group on a survival show, you need to have a comeback prepared 2 to 3 months after the show ends, or you've lost all of the momentum that you had from being on the show. This is the same problem groups face when they're formed through a show. So one of my favorite groups, TNX, was formed through a survival show program called Loud. The show ended in September of 2021, but the group didn't debut until May 2022. So that's a 6-month period where they expected fans to just excitedly wait for them to come out with music. After 6 months, people are forgetting that they even watched the show. P Nation isn't known for having groups. Most of the time, P Nation just takes soloists who are well established. I think it could have really changed their career if they had debuted closer to when the show ended. Another issue I have is that some of these groups never end up debuting, which wastes months of the contestants' and the viewers' time. Mix 9 and Girls on Fire are just 2 shows that come to mind when I think about this. On Mix 9, there were girls competing to be in a girl group and boys competing to be in a boy group, and the boy group ended up winning. So they were supposed to debut, but there were contract disputes, so that never ended up happening. Girls on Fire was a vocal survival show where the girls competed for about $150,000 USD, album, a concert tour, and a global showcase. The winners were paid, but they never ended up releasing music because of contract disputes yet again. Another issue I have is that some of these survival shows are too excited to put kids on them. There were two shows I think about for this, which is Under 19 and My Teenage Girl. To me, this would only really make sense if you were trying to make a kids group, but they always want a group to appeal to the general public that's just like teenagers. I completely forgot the most egregious example of this, which was a show called Under 15 that never ended up airing, thank goodness. But it was meant to have contestants between 8 years old and 15 years old competing to be in a group for the general public, like not a kids group. And the showrunner said that she was just trying to reflect the current K-pop trend because people like younger singers. What? Another thing that kind of turns me off from the shows is the rigging. Kingdom Legendary War. This show burned me up. If you have multiple groups competing and the fan vote is basically everything, the fans are always going to vote for the groups that they like the most. So it's like you already know how the show's going to go when they use established groups. And then they'll try to like change your mind with the editing, like, oh no, see, he slipped up here. Hi, I'm editing. But just to bring this point home, I'm going to take a clip from a survival show and then edit it to make you feel a different emotion, and tell me if it works in the comment section.
표정이 너무 좋다. 감사합니다. 1조. 자, 보자.
네.
솔직히 그냥 보는데 약간 부담스러워서 다른 사람한테 눈이 가.
So after all this, I do plan on watching Boys to Planet. I might make some videos on that if you guys are interested. Let me know in the comment section while you're there. Don't forget to like and subscribe so my video gets recommended to more people and so that you see more of my videos. Thanks for watching. Bye!